Welcome to this rapid revision video looking at life in Nazi Germany. This time we're going to be focusing on the Strength Through Joy programme. You might notice I've put a question mark at the end of that. Did this programme really make a difference for German workers? We've got to consider that Strength Through Joy is part of propaganda and work. The Nazi economy was organised to benefit the state, not the individual. This was shown with compulsory policies like the Reich Labour Service. However, Hitler knew that this would only succeed if workers were broadly kept happy too. The people who had done this previously were the trade unions, and he had banned them. Therefore, a number of organisations were set up to improve the quality of workers' lives, or at least provide the illusion of improvement. The first and largest of these was the German Labour Front, part of which was the Strength Through Joy programme, a part of which was the Beauty of Labour programme. We're going to look at each of these individually. Firstly, the German Labour Front. In 1933, as part of the building of his dictatorship, Hitler banned all trade unions. This left workers vulnerable to exploitation. Instead, the Deutsches Arbeitsfront, or DAF, was set up. It set minimum wages, set maximum working hours, and set out basic workers' rights. In these ways, it was a lot like a trade union, except it operated solely as the Nazis set out. It didn't offer any of the things that the real trade unions provided other than these basics. There was no right to negotiate better conditions with employers. There was no right to protest working hours, which went up under the Nazis, don't forget. And no right to protection from punishments. The DAF punished workers seen as not working correctly. The DAF, in fact, was just another instrument of Nazi control. But to so-called sweeten the deal, they introduced the Strength Through Joy programme. As a subsection of the DAF, the Nazis introduced Kraft durch Freude, or KDF. The aim of the KDF, or Strength Through Joy programme, was a propaganda one: make workers feel happy. As such, it offered free or heavily discounted luxuries and benefits, holidays at resorts and cruises, theatre performances, art gallery and museum visits, lectures and learning opportunities, sports events, and millions of people took part in these. But actually, this was only a small fraction of the 35 million who signed up for them. Most never got the benefits. Perhaps most infamously, KDF offered the chance to buy a real rare luxury, a family car. The KDF wagon, later known as the People's Car or Volkswagen, was designed by Ferdinand Porsche, and it was such a good design, variants remained in production for decades. In fact, it was the British who set up the factory again as a way of boosting the German economy after World War II, but the basic design was a sound one, a very simple air-cooled engine at the back, and it could fit a family of 4 in it, very much what the Nazis intended for it. Workers could save 5 marks per week out of their wages and get a stamp, and this was put towards getting a VW. Have a look at the poster there behind the car, you can see the savings stamps. However, few people actually managed to do this. From 1938, the factories were set up for weapons production and not workers' cars. It made more sense to the Nazis to build tanks than it was to give luxury cars or even the family cars to the people. A further subsection of the KDF programme was the Schönheit der Arbeit programme. This was known as SDA, or Beauty of Labour. This aimed to improve facilities at work, such as better toilets, changing rooms and showers, better food in canteens, workplace activities such as exercise. Thousands of companies signed up, and the Nazi government helped to pay for the improvements. However, all is not as it seems. The workers were usually expected to make these improvements in their own time, without pay. That's what this particular poster here is promoting. Employers actually threatened to sack workers who didn't so-called volunteer to help. Wartime shortages would soon undo most of these improvements too. The choice that the German people were given was guns or butter. This phrase comes from a speech by Hermann Goering that went a little something like this: "We have no butter. But I ask you, would you rather have butter or guns? Preparedness makes us powerful. Butter merely makes us fat." Well, given the fact that Goering literally couldn't fit into the cockpit of the fighter planes that he managed, that was a little bit of an ironic statement. But it was something that many of the German people took to heart. This satirical cartoon, produced by John Hartfield, a real critic of the Nazis, is mocking this quote by Goering. It says, "Hurrah, the butter is here." What you can actually see is a loyal Nazi family with their Nazi wallpaper and picture of the Führer haven't got anything to eat, so instead they're eating machinery and bicycle parts. So did life for German workers actually improve? Consider these two contrasting historical interpretations. The first is taken from the book Life in Germany by Steve Waugh, published in 2009. From 1936 to 1939, wages increased, but this was due to the longer working day. In addition, the cost of living rose in the 1930s, which meant that real wages, how much workers can actually buy, actually fell. There were food shortages because the government reduced agricultural production to keep prices up. This was designed to help farmers. Clearly, Steve Waugh thinks that it was all an illusion, and most people didn't find any improvements in their working life. Let's compare this to the essay from Nationalism, Dictatorship and Democracy in the 20th Century Europe. This is from an edited group of essays and studies by Hall, Shooter, Brown and Williams, who were the editors. It was published in 2015. For Germans who conformed to Nazi expectations, living standards went up. Unemployment dropped. Nazi statistics showed that real wages rose, though only if a worker worked overtime. The Strength Through Joy programme provided many extras. Some benefits, such as loans and medical care, were real. This is a slightly more positive way of looking at how the Strength Through Joy programme aimed to improve workers' lives, but even this one admits that it was only really possible if you worked overtime and did things voluntarily. So let's recap the main points. The DAF, Strength Through Joy and Beauty of Labour did provide basic workers' rights surrounding pay, hours and conditions, some perks such as cheap holidays and the VW car, and improved facilities in the workplace. However, the whole picture was rather different. Workers lost the protection of trade unions, relatively few got to enjoy these so-called perks, and improved facilities came at the cost of overtime and so-called voluntary extra work. So based upon these facts, which interpretation is better supported by the evidence? I'll leave that up to you. For now though, I'll say thanks very much for watching. I hope this video has been useful to you, and if it has, please like and subscribe to the channel. It's really worth pointing out that it's difficult for me to promote these different lessons on this particular topic because YouTube doesn't like people talking about it. And I can understand that. There's a lot of really silly views out there, and although I'm just trying to educate, they've got to try and protect you guys. Nevertheless, it really can help me make these videos worthwhile if you do like the videos and subscribe to the channel. So if you can do that, as a little thank you, I'll be most grateful. But for now, thanks very much for watching. I'll say goodbye.